Do you know that somewhere in the ocean, there's a tiny jellyfish that seems to break the rules of life? When it gets old, it can reverse its life cycle and turn itself back into a younger version. Then there is the Hydra, a small freshwater creature that keeps renewing its cells so well that, under the right conditions, it barely seems to age at all. Then there are animals like naked mole rats, which live far longer than their size says they should, resisting diseases that normally come with aging. So here's the disturbing question. If nature already knows a few tricks for cheating death, why does almost every living thing on Earth still die? The simple answer is, living things die because they wear out. But that answer is too small. That answer is too simple, and I'm sure no one is watching this just to know you die because you grow old. Well, don't worry, because life is not just a machine slowly breaking down. Life is much stranger than that. Your body is a constant repair project. Every second, your cells are copying DNA, producing energy, fighting invaders, cleaning up waste, and deciding which cells should live and which cells should quietly destroy themselves. Now, this is where the story gets serious. For you, death may be the end of life, but is that the case? Because in many ways, death is one of life's most important tools. Inside your body right now, millions of tiny deaths are happening. Cells that are damaged, old, or dangerous are being removed through a process called programmed cell death. Scientists call one major form of it apoptosis. It sounds scary, but without it, your body would be in chaos. When you were developing before birth, your fingers formed partly because the cells between them died away. Your immune system depends on destroying harmful or useless cells. Your body uses cell death to remove cells that might turn cancerous. So even while you are alive, your survival depends on death happening in the right places, at the right time, in the right amount. That is the first twist. Life does not avoid death completely. Life uses death to stay alive. We know that now. But the bigger question is, if the body is so good at repair, why does every organism eventually fail? Think of your body like a city. Every day, roads crack. Pipes leak and buildings weaken. The city may have workers that keep everything running beautifully, but the city is huge. Problems happen everywhere all the time. One repair team fixes a bridge while another system starts failing underground. A small leak becomes water damage. Aging is just like that. It is not one single thing going wrong. It is thousands of tiny problems stacking on top of each other. Your DNA gets damaged. Your cells make mistakes when they divide. Proteins fold into the wrong shapes. Mitochondria, the tiny power stations inside your cells, become less efficient. Some cells stop dividing but refuse to die, becoming old zombies that release chemicals and disturb the tissues around them. Stem cells, which help repair and replace body parts, become less active. Meanwhile, the immune system becomes weaker in some ways and overactive in others, causing chronic inflammation. So aging is not one clock. There are many clocks, many cracks, many debts, and the body keeps paying those debts for as long as it can. But eventually the cost becomes too high. Now this is where evolution enters the story, because evolution does not build bodies to last forever. It builds bodies to survive long enough to reproduce, pass on genes, and help the next generation continue. That sounds cold. But nature is not emotional. Nature does not ask, how can I make this individual live forever? It asks, what traits help life continue? This idea is sometimes explained through the disposable soma theory. Soma means the body. The basic idea is that every organism has limited energy. It can spend that energy on growth, reproduction, movement, defense, and repair, but it cannot spend infinite energy on everything. Perfect repair would be expensive. A body that repairs every tiny piece of damage forever would need enormous resources, and our bodies do not have that. This leads to us reproducing more slowly, growing more slowly, and eventually losing the race against other organisms that reproduce quickly and pass on their genes before danger catches them. So nature makes a trade. Good enough repair, not a perfect repair. Strong enough to survive, not guaranteed to last forever. That is why many living things are not built like immortal monuments. They are built like temporary missions that are launched into the world to survive, adapt, reproduce, and eventually they make room for what comes next. And this is not just a sad idea, that is how evolution works. If every organism lived forever, life would freeze. Old generations would dominate resources. New mutations would have less space to spread. Death creates room for new life, new combinations, new adaptations, and new experiments. In a strange way, death gives life motion. But that motion sometimes can be brutal. One of the most haunting examples of this is the octopus. A female octopus may spend her final days guarding her eggs. She stops eating. She weakens. Her body begins to decline, all because in many species, once the eggs hatch, the mother dies. It feels tragic because octopuses are intelligent, curious, and almost alien in how they experience the world. But evolution's logic is harsh. The mother's final purpose becomes protecting the next generation. The octopus shows us something uncomfortable. Sometimes nature does not protect the individual, it protects the continuation. And this pattern appears everywhere. Annual plants grow, produce seeds, and die. Salmon swim upstream, reproduce, and then their bodies break down. Many insects live only long enough to mate and lay eggs. Their lives are short, intense, and focused on passing the flame forward. Humans are different though. We live longer. We care for children and grandchildren. We build cultures, medicine, technology, and memory. But biologically, we are still part of the same system. Our bodies repair themselves beautifully, but not perfectly. Our cells protect us, but they also accumulate mistakes. Our immune system defends us, but it also ages. So why can some creatures seem to escape aging? Because these organisms prove that aging is flexible. Nature can slow it down, reshape it, and in rare cases, partially reverse it. But even these creatures are not truly immortal. A jellyfish can still be eaten. A hydra can still be destroyed. A tree can burn. A whale can starve. That is another key point. There are two kinds of death in this story. One is death from the outside. Predators, accidents, disease, starvation, drought, cold, heat, disaster. The other is death from the inside. Aging, organ failure, loss of repair, or biological breakdown. I mean, even if an organism could slow internal aging, the outside world is still dangerous. This connects to one of the deepest ideas in science. Entropy, the universe, naturally moves toward disorder. Living things are special because they create order inside themselves. A seed becomes a tree. A single cell becomes a body. A wound heals. A child grows, but it has to keep working to maintain that structure. The moment the work stops, disorder wins. Death prevents all of this, and that may be the most powerful way to understand it. Every living thing dies because life is not a stone. It is a temporary pattern fighting to stay organized in a universe that pulls everything apart. So death is not just biology's failure, it is part of biology's engine. So why does every living thing on Earth eventually die? Because every body is a temporary agreement between order and chaos. Because repair is powerful, but not infinite. Because evolution values continuation more than permanence. Because death clears space for life to keep moving. Because life was never a statue. It was always a chain. Cells die so bodies can live. Bodies die so species can change. Generations disappear so life can continue. And maybe that is the final twist. Death is not the opposite of life. Death is one of the reasons life keeps going. Death prevents all of this, and that may be the most powerful way to understand it. Every living thing dies because life is not a stone. It is a temporary pattern fighting to stay organized in a universe that pulls everything apart. So death is not just biology's failure, it is part of biology's engine. So why does every living thing on Earth eventually die? Because every body is a temporary agreement between order and chaos. Because repair is powerful, but not infinite. Because evolution values continuation more than permanence. Because death clears space for life to keep moving. Because life was never a statue. It was always a chain. Cells die so bodies can live. Bodies die so species can change. Generations disappear so life can continue. And maybe that is the final twist. Death is not the opposite of life. Death is one of the reasons life keeps going.